Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bunker Underground with, of course, your host, Finity, and joined currently by none other than Mr. Mako himself. And
Hello?
we are missing delete. So hold on. Let me do this here so we can. I'm gonna turn on my camera here for you, Mako, so you can see this. And what we will do, we have to coordinate. Okay, you ready? Without delete here, we have to do it. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to another episode of the Bunker Underground, where we talk about state of survival, give you guys a little bit of insight into what is currently happening in terms of the game, the updates, developer feedback, whatever we can. And then even this time, we have something additional. We had a request to talk about something in particular that we did talk about before, but the game has gone through a lot of updates. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that as well. I see somebody joining. And yeah.
Just in time to make a mess out of your stream.
Did you miss our intro?
Sure did.
Yeah, we had a good intro. I think that's the best way to describe it, right, Mako? I think we just had a solid intro there.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I think so.
Figures.
You want to do it again for him, Mako?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. We were filling in for the gap that was missing there.
I love it. Well done. Way to keep the wave going.
We have to. It is tradition, just like the ending. So
Hi everybody.
There you go. There's delete. And yeah, so we're gonna talk about a few things here, and we'll go through kind of the different rally leads and other things that can help with your squads and help your alliance. And the other part of it too, we'll try to take it from a couple of different angles too. Obviously, delete is delete's a high level whale. We can just put it out there. So he will likely be your actual rally lead. Mako is a long-time free-to-play, so he has a lot of the stuff at a different level, and I'm a newer free-to-play. So you guys will see, and he's in an older state, so his game is also a little bit different than mine is in 359. So we'll have a few different angles here to kind of go through that with you guys. So hopefully it'll be a fun discussion with that. But I guess before we jump into that, let me ask both of you, starting with Mako, anything fun to discuss that happened in game since the last time we were talking about all this?
Not really. Just kind of plugging along on the new Migo Season 3, but that's really just the same old. I think nothing's really happened in the last week.
Okay, so let me ask, did I miss this before, or is this like Yith Fiend competition thing like new? So there was like a competition to do the fiends in order to complete like samples. It's not necessarily the fiends, you get them from infecteds and everything too, but there was like an alliance rating like to like try and generate score. I don't know why I had not noticed it before. I don't know if was there or what. You guys did have that or didn't have that?
I don't think we did.
It doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah, we had like a sample thing where we were just killing fiends for like the last like 2 days because we were trying to get the like samples that they were dropping. I don't think it's, let me double check. I think because the event is over now. It lasted 1 day over the infected kill. But yeah, it was just, I don't know, everyone was just killing fiends for the last 2 days. I was like, okay, that's kind of an interesting turn of events. I don't necessarily mind it. I like killing fiends. Oh, they're still there. These Yith nutrient solutions. So you get these.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, so we have this where you collect the Yith nutrient solutions. They drop from the infecteds, and you get more. Let me go to a fiend. You get more of them from the fiends. Let me see where the fiends are. Yeah, so the fiends just have it listed here. But you actually get more of them from the fiends. So we've been running like fiend rallies. Let me see if I have one in my... I should have
Is it
one.
different than like the level 5, level 4 fiends?
I've only killed the 5s. So I typically only go after the 5. So I'm not sure if there is a difference.
Because I know there was an event where it was like it wasn't a level 5 fiend, it was like a infected fiend, but it didn't have a level, but it was for the anniversary event.
Yeah, see, I got so like confused in all of this because I had not recalled this kind of event before. So I was like, huh, this is kind of interesting because you get like a fun little combat with like your alliance. Let me see. There should be. Hold on. Let me see if I can find the leaderboard. I don't think it's the Capital Clash one. Is it Capital Clash? Let me see. Yeah, it's the Capital Clash. So Capital Clash collects the Yith nutrition solutions, and there's like a competition in order to get as many Yith nutrition things as possible.
Yeah, and it gives you some kind of bonus for that Capital Clash and that Capital Clash only.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did do that one then.
Okay.
It was, I don't know what the rewards were, but it was supposed to give you like battle points for in the towers or something.
Ah. Okay. Because I don't know why. I just hadn't seen this before until now. I was like, okay. Well, yeah, so I have like my maximum, so I'm getting like 20 of these maps later on. And then we're currently number 2. We're trying to fight for 1, so we'll try to get there, so but it's crazy.
When you get to Capital on Saturday, the like the towers and the Capital will actually change to mushrooms.
Ah.
Like they'll be covered in the fungus that's part of the Yith story.
Yes.
And it's just part of the Capital Clash.
Okay. That helps to clarify what exactly was going on, because I was kind of getting lost. I found it in there for the rankings, and I was like, this is new. It worked out well for me because I cashed in my chief tags in order to do more of the infected fiend runs and all of that, and I gained like I think 3 levels. So I gained 7, and then 8 talent points. So like 20 some odd talent points because I just cashed in a bunch of my tags. So I was pretty happy overall with it, but it was definitely new to me anyways. So I wasn't sure if you guys had it, but it sounds like you guys had it. Is it just one of those capitals that turns it into a mushroom?
Yeah, I think it's got to be getting close to the end of Yith for you then, right?
I think so, yeah.
I want to say it was like the last capital in Yith was the only one we had to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I think we are getting close to the end of Yith here, so.
And I can't remember. I don't think I ever even looked. The rules say you're supposed to get some kind of buff for unlocking enough Yithomectin for the capital, but I don't remember seeing a buff when we were doing capital. But
I realize now I didn't have my screen down to show the screen. So what I'm talking about is this. For everyone that was wondering what I'm talking about is this. It's the Yith nutrient solution. And yeah, you get these from killing fiends and infecteds. Infected, they just listed as getting a chance. But you get those from them. And like Mako was talking about, this is for Capital Clash. And you can see here, there's like a Yith nutrient solutions thing. Hi, Ronnie K. How are you doing? And then all the alliances are kind of like fighting for trying to get first and get as many Yith nutrients as possible. It was nice the first 2 days because it was overlapping with an infected event where you just have to kill the infected. So it was really nice when those overlapped. Not so much right now, but that's okay. And my least favorite part is that kill event overlaps with Plasma Lab. So I hate that. It makes it very difficult to actually gather resources to get 5 of those things. So why? Just why, King's Group? Why? That's all I can ask. Why do you have to overlap kill event with the actual Plasma Lab where you have to like farm resources? I sent mine just a little bit before, so hopefully it ends, right? And then I like did equalize marts. So it's not just like minimal in order to farm it. I'll at least equalize it to like boost it up, but it's craziness. I'm not a fan of that. So yeah. Yeah, well, we have a lot to actually talk about here with regards to the actual March's stuff, and there was a developer feedback since our last post, so that is also a good sign. So let's go ahead and let me get that here, and I'm trying to just post. I'm trying to be good. McVenom was a lot better about this. I have not been good about like posting the link places for the stream. Yeah, I have not been good about that. So let me do that right now because I should be promoting. Again, I am really bad. I apologize, Mako and Delete. I am really bad. I like do the thumbnail and all of that, and then I'm like, okay, well,
now that's done, let's not send it out anywhere.
Yeah, pretty much. Not
while we're doing that,
not the best part.
I was affected, or I got a message in my Discord from my like VIP concierge that they were going to take my skin away. I was one of the people that took advantage of the skin tickets being extremely cheap for the Lucky Slots game. So I hammered it. I went after it, and I had like, it was 600 tickets. I think I got, and what was it? So I got 60,000 tickets.
Yeah.
And then I went ahead and got the skin. I was missing a skin, and I was like, all right, Endless Hope skin, thank you. I've been waiting to add you into my collection. And then I got the notice that it was like, yeah, that was a mistake. We're going to take that out. And I'm like, wait, what? I was like, can you do that? Can they do that? I mean, they can do that. They haven't done it. Yeah, I haven't seen anything really come through.
They have to refund you if you bought things, right? Because you had to buy the coins in order to actually do it. So if they had a system in place, you did everything fair, and now they're taking it away, they should refund you for that amount.
Yeah.
As long as they refund you, I mean,
so I sent back to my concierge. She normally responds back to me or only talks to me at 1 a.m. when I'm asleep. So I responded back when I woke up at like 7 a.m. And I was just like, yeah, that changes a lot, because I kind of, saw the value, bought the packages based on that value, and took advantage of it. Now you're saying you're going to take it away and compensate me. And I go, well, what's the compensation? And then I did get back. So they took all the extra skin tickets that I had away already.
Okay.
And then they were like, we're going to take the skin also. And I was just like, whoa, what? So do I get all of because my question was basically, do I get all my cash back? And I was just like, I've been left on red.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell is going on? I was like, all right, so this is 600 tickets for these tokens. I was just like, never hit jackpot once. As many times as I pulled that handle, I never hit jackpot, of course. It's always the people that are like, hey, yeah, it's not really a spender, so we're gonna let them hit the jackpot. Mako, you should pull that thing because you probably hit the jackpot. I was like, what the hell? I bought all the other stuff that was like, well, this is not really, once I got all the skins, I was like, this isn't really that good of a deal. But I bought all the other stuff that I might need in the future, and then that was that. But then it was just like, wait, no, you can't have that. So that was just like, boosted me into, pretty big into survival of the fittest too, which was nice. They didn't take those points back. So
those are probably a little bit harder to take back. So
I was like, this is all wonky. I was like, everything about it's wonky.
Yeah. No, they should refund you. And the other part of it too, unfortunately, if they don't, this is like an easy thing to put in with Apple or Google to get a refund as well. So
yeah.
But hopefully they compensate you correctly, and better yet, they don't take away anything. That would be the best part. Yeah,
It's weird. The
don't take it away.
refunds for Kings Group are wonky too, because it was like, if they refund you, now what they do is, if you start spending again, they basically take that refunded amount, say it was $300.
Mm-hmm.
Your next $300 in purchases don't count. It's
So
like
they don't refund
you
you in cash. It's almost like they refund you in a gift card, like a store credit.
yeah, but it's like you could buy stuff, right? And you
Mhm.
technically have to buy stuff, and then once you buy it, you spend, and you don't get what you bought
Yeah.
until you eclipse that $300.
Yeah.
So it's like, even if you're buying, which is, I was like, well, I was like, I'm buying this stuff because I need it or I want it. Now
Mhm.
I'm not getting the item. I'm just spending and not getting the item also until the refunds. I was like, well, I was like, it's kind of punishment in a way.
Right.
So
I saw that too. I'm not gonna lie, I was tempted to get that and store up some skin tickets just so I can get Tofu whenever he shows up again. I was like, I haven't spent yet, but this is really tempting just because of how many skin tickets you were getting. So I was like, I almost did, but I'm glad I didn't.
I mean, they
then I
make
was just
skins like $1,000. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, wait, what?
Yeah.
It's wild.
If Kings Group is listening, definitely recommend it's a mistake. Just admit it's a mistake like you did and leave it be. Otherwise, you are going to have to refund all of these like amounts because that is actually changing the reason why somebody spent the game, which is not a good thing. It's fine to say there was a mistake, but this could be potentially really bad if you continue to go down that route. So
it's also like, at that point, like, what are you really losing out on? I mean, they're not really losing anything, by being like, all right, we made a mistake. All right, it's not like they were like drawing cash out of the game.
They probably actually got more people to spend because of the value. Like, I'm sure people saw the value and were like, okay, let's go ahead and buy some extra here. Consider it a Christmas gift to everyone. Just saying. It's a Thanksgiving gift to everyone. We are giving thanks to the player. Here are some cheap skins that you took advantage of. Period. Just leave it. You know how quickly Black Friday sales go? I mean, literally, they can just be there for like an entire day and that's it. So that was your Black Friday skin sale. There were so many other ways to like spin this without having to get a refund. So hopefully they don't do that. But yes, I did see that. I got something in my mail giving me compensation and giving me skin tickets for it. I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't know what they're doing to the people that bought it, but I got some free skin tickets, so I'll take it.
They probably took deletes and dispersed them to everybody.
Exactly. You're welcome. You're welcome, everyone. I was the guy that caused the compensation. I was just like, ooh, this is nice. That's why, you really do have to check it in like right at reset, because right at reset is when, I mean, that's how I got my Halloween skin. Because I was just like, oops, this is available. All right, I'll take it. It was just like, and then they were like, oh, that was a mistake. Oh, I was like, I thought they were going to take that one too, and they didn't.
Hello, by the way, to Juggernaut, who is here. We also have Durgan here, because when I was saying I was posting it, so give me a second. Durgan said, it's okay, Finity. We know you're busy with your kids. Awful, Durgan, just awful. I don't have any kids, nor expecting any kids in 9 to 10 months. Like, none. There's going to be still 0 at that time. You are awful, Durgan. Just and then Dr. Feelgood. What is this skin to win mechanic you speak of? That is a good way to call it, Dr. Feelgood. Skin to win. Mm-hmm.
Well, I wish the skins actually mattered more, because they really don't. Like, overall attack level doesn't really matter that much, unfortunately. It should, but it doesn't. Like when I'm at like 178%, when I'm fully buffed, I think actually I'm a little bit higher than that. It might be at like 180. Either way, I'll be going against someone that's like a 140, and if I've got like a hero that's not exactly matched, it's just like, oh, I lost anyway, so
Yeah.
whatever. I still want him.
Durgan, awful. Hush, you. Just freaking Durgan. Just awful.
He drops a gem every stream.
Yeah. I was going to say don't encourage him, but part of me still enjoys the fact that he does. All right. So we have a few things to discuss. We'll talk about the developer feedback. We already talked about kind of what happened with the skin event, which was going to be a topic. And then we'll talk a little bit about March leaders. And who should be leading in March, and based on your situation, what are good ones to pick. So let's go ahead and start off first, though, with now what has become tradition. The game that is sweeping the nation. How many plasma will Finn get? So let us head to my purifying center. Okay, so delete Mako chat. What are your guesses? My typical has either been a 7 or an 8. This week, I did have one time where I hit 2+1s and a 4. So I did get an 11 on that one. So I did have one pretty good day. Otherwise, we're looking at 7s and 8s. So how many do you think? Hi, Froggy. How are you? Froggy's saying 8. Mako, how many do you think?
I'm going to go big and go 12 today.
Ooh.
Wow.
12.
I'm going the exact opposite. I'm going 5 because I got a 5 today.
Wow. Mako also got a 5. Okay.
It's
so
like the worst feeling ever. Logging like, all right, none. No.
Dr.
No.
Feelgood
So
guessing
mean.
42. If I somehow managed to get 42, that would be pretty damn impressive. Not possible, but would be pretty damn impressive. Juggernaut's going with the 6. That's that would be crushing too, but still not as bad as a 5. Ronnie's also going to 12, kind of going big there. And then Froggy then also putting 69, which is just RSG tradition there, so nicely done there, sir.
Well played. Well played.
All right, here we go. The first one is a +1, so we're at 2. So it's starting off reasonable. The next one is another +1. We're at 4.
Oh, I'm out.
Yep, you're pretty much out. The next one is a +2. So that puts us at 7.
7.
The next one is a +1. We're at 9.
Oh, watch this be big money and it'd be like a +4.
Twisted Graphics went with 10. Okay, let's see. We have a chance for a few of these. We're at 9. Here we go. And the last one is just a flat 1. So I ended up breaking even with 10. After all that, I broke even with 10. Nicely done there by Twisted Graphics. How are you doing, Twisted? Glad to have you here. So I got my 10, which is just enough in order to get my 1 plasma core. There we go. Okay. So yeah, that was at least I got 10. I got the number that I guess I theoretically could have gotten if I managed to continue that 2 roll, although it forced Mako out of it. Mako became a professional at 2, so they made him even worse. This Purification Center thing is so weird.
Right.
It's still just, still mind-boggling.
It was awful, especially in the beginning, because it was like, there were people that were like, oh, they hit big, and next thing you know, they were like that much further ahead than you were, and you couldn't catch up. It was just like, what?
Mm-hmm.
It's awful.
It is. It was truly awful. Yeah. So, such is the way sometimes. Such is the way. Okay. So, yeah. So we'll go ahead and jump into the developer feedback, and then we'll talk a little bit about marches. So if you guys have questions about marches, go ahead and put them in the chat. In the meantime, let me read to you guys the stuff regarding the developer feedback. Once this loads here for a second. There we go. Okay. So we did get a developer feedback, and it was actually after our stream last week. So it was on November 6th. So pretty much right on Saturday. So it said, "Greetings, survivors. Welcome back to developer feedback on Friday. As usual, we will be sharing info about recent changes online and future optimization plans. So the first one, we have removed the bonus provided by Migo or Yith feature in Reservoir Raid Battlefield. So it is true that the bonus from World Event had an influence on the Reservoir Raid match result. We analyzed the feedback from the community and have removed that bonus in Reservoir Fight. We hope all the alliances could have fair combat in the future Reservoir Raid and Reservoir Raid League matches." So I think that's a fair thing, right? It doesn't make
especially
sense.
since everyone's at different like parts of you know
Yep.
of Migo and Yith, so it doesn't make sense to kind of have that in there.
Yeah, agreed. So I think we're better with that change. The next one, we are working to improve the point mechanism in Reservoir Raid now. We have noticed that if one side has the lead in Reservoir Raid fight, it is usually not easy for the other side to catch up the points. To bring more suspense and fun in Reservoir Raid, we plan to change the point mechanism by giving the side which takes over a building from the opponent some points. Meanwhile, when one building is taken over by an opponent, some of the water points collected by your alliance will drop and scatter around the building. Players will need to send troops to gather the water point again. This new mechanism will soon be tested in PTR environment. Please stay tuned. That was similar to that single player Reservoir Raid, right? Well, I keep blanking on the name of that one.
Azertain Heist.
Azertain Heist.
Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mako. What do you think?
I mean, it's nice because then you get your lower people who are focusing on just gathering water, and they get demolished by an 8-star, and you can still have a chance to get some of that water back, I guess, so that they can increase their scores still, because they're not going to be getting any points sitting in a building when they're getting demolished at like a 1-star, because that's all you have signed up for your 30. So I think it's nice because then you still get those points, and it makes the water towers even more action instead of just sitting. You send out your 5 marches and they're sitting in a building for an hour in some of these matches, so it makes it a little more interesting, I think.
That's actually maybe I don't know. It's kind of like the ends justify the means type of things, but I'm not sure their means is necessarily correct in this. So they started off with a premise. We have noticed that if one side has the lead in Reservoir Raid fight, it is usually not easy for the other side to catch up in points, right? But I feel like most of the time that's because the matchup is so skewed that one team is just more strong than the alliance they're facing. So they just take over and they can hold everything. Like the matchups in Reservoir Raid have been so imbalanced sometimes that you can't make it up. You're just not in a matchup where you can even compete. So, like, I understand what they're doing, and I kind of like the idea that they're trying to bring more suspense and more fun to Reservoir Raid. I do actually like these changes. I think they actually cause a little bit more fun to be had inside of it. You can beat people and get some additional points. All of that is fine. I'm not sure it's going to change their premise, though, which is that if one team takes a lead, that the other side has difficulty taking over. I don't feel like that changes very much. But they are working on the matchup, to be fair. We've talked about that they are working on the matchup. I figured that's going to have a bigger impact than just these changes. What do you think, Delete?
Yeah, I mean, I've never had, in the years now that I've been playing this game, I've only had one res raid that has come down to like a 6,000 point difference between the two, which is really not that much, you know? And everything else has usually been like a blowout or it's just yeah, or it's an even match, but it's not really that close. A lot of that can really has to come down to like strategy too. Like the buildings bonuses you have to keep in mind are pretty valuable. I think one of the most important buildings is the one that allows you to take control of the buildings faster. Because that one really can change the tide if it's close. So if they're taking one from you and they don't have that building, if you take it back, you can kind of scoop some more points up because you're taking it back that much faster, and it's a pretty considerable amount faster. So yeah, it really all depends. I mean, I do like the fact that they're trying to like switch it up a little bit and they're not like going back to formula on it, because it seems like whenever something's working in this game, they typically go and just demolish it and then change it completely. So, this has been a game that's been everyone's most popular and favorite by far. So, I do think the water tanks can play a big difference, because I've won matches, where it was like, all right, we're kind of getting trashed, and they keep concentrating on center. So it was almost like fake rallies at center, and everyone just kind of go ahead and just, blow out gathering, which is turn the tide, because you can be like, wow, we've got every building, but we're not gaining as much as they are right now, which is pretty crazy, so I do like it.
Yep, it should definitely make things a little more interesting, but again, they need to work on the matchmaking, and it sounds like they have. So I think the combination of the two should give better matches and more fun, I think, with these changes. And then the last thing they put in there, which we already recognized on our stream before this post, but it said they added Becca fragments in the Alliance store. So though Becca is a new hero in game, she is very popular among players due to her strong training and settlement bonus. People keep asking for more Becca frags after our anniversary events. We are happy to announce that Becca fragment is available in Alliance store. Every player has a chance to redeem Becca fragments with Alliance honor. We hope you all like this optimization, and then kind of the ending there. So we talked a little bit about this last time. It's like 100,000 for my state in order to get Becca frags, and it was like 300,000 on yours, right? Because you guys don't get a discount. So it's pricey. Becca is a very, very pricey hero. I'm gonna ask for a suggestion here for the game, and you guys let me know if it's one that you would want to, but it's just something I've noticed. I would like the ability to keep certain heroes in my settlement. Like, not have the option to take them into the march. In particular, the 3 that you keep on your wall, and then Becca, who's basically designed to be inside your base because of the construction bonus and the training bonuses that she gives. So I would hope that there would be some way that we can keep heroes inside our base. I mean, I've done it before where I sent a march to just be like out there that saves those ones, and then I'll pull it back so that I'll keep them in there, but I'll send out 5 others, and then I only have to worry about one where I may accidentally send out one of them. But it would be nice to have the opportunity to put like 5 or 6 heroes inside of your bunker. Like your blast shelter, just allow us to put some heroes in there too. And then everything is solved. Then you can just put them in there. It doesn't eat up a march slot. But that's been one of the more frustrating things I've just noticed, just in general with this game, that I can't keep my wall heroes. Like if I send out marches, they're just gone. And then I have to like pull back one of my resource ones and like switch them out and pay more. I don't like that particular aspect of the game. What do you think, Mako? Am I the only one that would want that, or is that something that you would think that others may want as well? You're on mute, I think, by the way.
It's most likely everybody would want that. What should happen, what should have always been the case, is you set your wall heroes, and that's like sending a march out. You can't use them anywhere else.
Yeah,
That'd be the easiest way to keep your wall heroes, because if you're not paying attention, I mean, I think I just switched mine to the new gen heroes that are patrol, and I still had like Zoe, Ash, and somebody else on my wall from like 3 gens ago because you don't really pay attention to your wall. I mean, at the point that we are in 125, I mean, I can withstand the highest level of horde by myself with no reinforcements with the heroes ahead of my wall. So it's like I don't really think about your wall too much, and by the time you get hit by somebody who's an 8-star, the heroes on your wall don't really matter that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should just be a locked in. You said because you have to go in there and you have to choose your heroes. It should just lock them in there and like gray them out. Like if you send somebody on a march, like let's say you put Mike in a march and he's resonated with Daryl. Daryl's instantly grayed out. You can't send him on another march. That should just be what happens for your wall heroes.
Delete.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, they should be, because it's also like, if you send someone out on your wall, it replaces them with someone completely arbitrary. It's not even like the next strongest hero. It's all wonky. It doesn't even it makes zero sense on how it's replaced. And it's not like when they come back, they go back onto your wall. It's just, no, we just leave it, the way it is. And it doesn't make any sense. And it's almost like especially if you're in an active state, wall heroes are pretty important. Like that's an added level of protection. It's your secondary bubble. And if you have blue heroes on your wall when you get attacked, it makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that it unfortunately you have to monitor very carefully depending on how active your state is. Especially in Horde, it makes a huge difference. But it's something that should be addressed. That's something that should be changed. Because it's awful. The way it is right now is awful.
Yeah. Yep. So that was the kind of the developer feedback. That's also some of our feedback too on the developer feedback. So it's just kind of back and forth there. But yeah, so that covers kind of the updates that were basically had. There was also again the refunding of the whatever they're doing with their lucky slot event. So basically what they said, due to configuration error in the lucky slot event, a small number of players got an excess number of skin tickets. We have recalled these skin tickets and returned those players' slot coins consumed by participating in the event. We are sorry that this issue has affected your game experience. A compensation will be sent out. If you need more information regarding the issue, regarding how many tickets you gained, etc., please reach out to our in-game support team. So again, they didn't get an excess number of skin tickets. They got the right number of skin tickets. You just put the wrong number. They paid for whatever the number is. So it is a little different than the way they said it. And if it's a small number, I would just leave it. Like, I don't think most people care right now that other people are getting skins. Like, it's
also, I don't know, it's just, the whole thing is weird. Because, I mean, it wasn't like it was like an added 0 or anything. It was like a completely different number.
Just like different one altogether. Yes. It was pretty weird the way that they did that, yes. Oh my god, Durgan. Durgan said they should call them skin tags instead of skin tickets. I guess if they're taking them away, then maybe it would be a good thing if they're just taking away skin tags. I mean...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is it true that the best way to get rid of those, I've never had one, thank God, is dental floss tied tight around the base of it?
Yeah, you can do it that way.
Wow, that's crazy. Why wouldn't you just cut it?
Because if you just straight cut it, you're going to bleed. So the reason for the dental floss, or if you like freeze it, is that you cut circulation off from that, and then the skin just shrivels up and dies. But everything below, so you're kind of like forcing a cauterization, basically. You're creating a little mini tourniquet around the skin tag to cut it off.
The only reason why I know that is my buddy used, he said he used like the mint dental floss and it was burning.
Yeah. You can use like dental floss, and people, depending how big they are, people have used like the little braces, rubber bands. You can you can also use that to do the same thing. You just kind of keep on twisting it. But yeah, the idea is that you basically create a very tight tourniquet to prevent any blood flow, and then just have it kind of just like die.
I'm like, would it bleed? It's not gonna. How much would it bleed? Bleed like a lot? I mean, it's not like a gusher. It's not like it's got a vein.
It's not going to be
or,
like
I
a
don't know.
huge gusher, but it does bleed. So it's like
The fact that
These
we're
are the
talking
things we
about
talk about.
skin tags and gushers just makes me. I'm never gonna be able to look at my kid's snack again.
why? That's exactly what you should do now. Whenever you bite
Yeah.
into one.
Yeah, no, I had like an uncle that had one like here, and I was just like, how do you get? I don't even know how you get them.
They're kind of
It's
just
weird.
random.
Oh, I'm like, he was like, yeah. I was like, why don't you just cut it? He was just like, no, you can't do that. And he's like, I'm just gonna leave it there. And I'm like, it's gross.
Durgan. He said you're welcome for the tangent. Yep, we go on cosigns all
See
the
that?
time, and then you help accelerate that. Mako was like, maybe we can stay on target today. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, yeah.
It don't happen. It don't happen. I am unable to do that. In general, yeah, it is very difficult for me to stay on target. But we're relatively close. We've talked about a lot of stuff so far. So we're gonna jump into kind of our main topic here, which is gonna be the March leader. We talked about the updates and all that. So we're gonna talk about March leaders in the game and kind of how you go about picking which the leaders are. We'll start with delete and talk about kind of the rally leaders. And typically, I think those revolve around who the strongest are, right? The newer gens tend to take some precedence. But you can talk a little bit more about how you determine who the rally leader should be.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's all based off of the heroes, really. It's heroes, then it's gear, and then it's badges. Badges have become a pretty big part because they've gotten like so many more upgrades now, which is crazy. To go red badges is like it's just a long process. And the other things that play into it are just like the new research branches that have opened up. Like, how much have you done there? Because those will sway it as far as your overall the amount of the size of the army that you can have too. So it's unfortunately it's not really that difficult to find out who you can have. Like every base or every settlement or every alliance is going to have a clear number 2 or kind of a hierarchy. Because it's still not like everyone's a plasma 8. So it starts with the highest amount of plasma, and then it goes to heroes, and then you're like, all right, where am I at with this, and where am I at with that, and you kind of go from there. And then if everything doesn't match up, you can kind of go through your battle reports, and like, hey, post your report. How come you lost that? And then you can find out, the amount of plasma in your rally wasn't that high, or you weren't full, or wow, your stats are really different. They're not where they should be. What's going on there? So you kind of go from there, but for the most part, it's just like, okay, who's winning today? And then you kind of look at those rallies and you kind of just really kind of break it down. All right, well, no, I don't need, it's like if you're the strongest player, then you can kind of sometimes get away with having like the third strongest player pop open a rally to like double, like capital or something like that. You don't need the second strongest player to kind of help you there. So that's where the strategy of rally leads come in and having multiple, because you can get away with a first and a fourth sometimes, and then have your second and third player do the same thing for something else if they're not as strong, but they can kind of, with a 2 and the 3, kind of match up with a double rally to kind of take people out. Then, that's when you kind of have to have the hierarchy in place. Rally joiners especially do play a part. The amount of infantry you have, the percentages of the armies that you're kind of putting out there make a big difference and sway the battle considerably. So you have to pay attention to everything. That's why the 1 minute rally, even though it's very tempting, to launch a 1 minute rally, you got to have a pretty fine-tuned machine in order to kind of get a 1 minute rally done correctly. Even at the state of the game where we are in 125, where you have people that have been playing the game multiple years, they still, will send an equal march sometime or send their wrong march, and not use their presets, which is tough to deal with. But then they're like, send me back. And I'm like, I can't send you back in a 1 minute rally. You won't make it back in time, so you have to be careful. You got to be careful with everything you do, and you got to make sure that you're using your presets accordingly, to kind of make that a brainless decision. Like, all right, it's preset 1, this is capital time, or, it's preset 2 for, a fortress or a bunker or something like that. This is my secondary march. This is my rally joiner, and this is my rally lead march. You kind of go from there. So, the biggest thing is going to be, especially now, as far as a rally leader is concerned, is your top heroes, and making sure that even though the new heroes come out, it still seems to be better to bind, Daryl and Wacko to replace the top 2 heroes,
Yep.
which it's just bizarro. It just, never seemed that, like it came out with a brand new hero, but you're telling me that an old hero is better, and it's tested. Unfortunately, people have gone through and tested it and been like, yeah, no, if you don't have Wacko and Daryl, you're not winning. So those are basically the kind of ins and outs of being a rally lead, and finding who can be a rally lead. And you'll find out pretty quickly if you can do it.
Yeah.
You watch rally, and it doesn't win. All right, no, I'm not up to the. I'm not up to, you can't talk your way out of that fight.
No, you definitely can't.
Yeah.
All right, so Mako, let's talk a little bit about joiners then. So, how do you determine what heroes to have for your joiner rallies?
Usually it depends on what we're doing, but if you're a joiner, you're usually going to use your strongest heroes, or if you have them, the defense heroes, because your rally leads are going to have their strongest heroes, and they're not always the defense heroes. So if you've got everybody rocking in with their strongest heroes and nobody's got a defense hero, good luck holding any building, because you'll just get washed over by somebody with their strongest march, especially in 125. Well, not so much now, but before, when you had 3 alliances all with the same kind of top tier guys. I mean, you put a march or a rally in there and without a defense hero, and it's basically just, all right, 1 hit here, 1 hit there, 1 hit there. So, and as far as I know, the defense heroes hadn't changed up until this gen, but I think Hank kind of knocked Ernie out of the place. So, yeah. And the only other part is, if you're a joiner, make sure you use your formations, because, like Delete said, if you're rocking for fortress or bunker and you got a 5-minute rally and you guys mess up and you're stuck with just 1 before the bunker closes, and you got to sit there and slide your little bar because you want 60% infantry, and it's like, you're never going to do it. By this point in the game, if you've been playing more than 3 months, you should know how to have your formations made, and you should have your formations made. Just set them up. They gave us an extra one for a reason, so you have 4 chances. I mean, I have a, let's see, I have a trap, I have a strong march, and I have a defensive hero march, and then I've just got one that's kind of random that's an equal march. But normally it's been tested by the people who have been fighting a while, and they'll tell you, all right, we're going to do 60-20-20, we're going to do 60-20-15, we're going to do 60-10-25, or what is it? I think recently we've been trying an all infantry march if in certain occasions. So, I mean, you got to be flexible with them. You use all 4 formations for what the situation calls for, just to make it easier on yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. It's actually better to kind of go ahead and, as soon as someone says something like that, to kind of do your march, you should be doing it in the preset screen, not even doing it in the march screen. You should do it in the preset and then go ahead and use that preset from there. that's the easiest way to do it to ensure that you're going to go ahead and do it. Because if you're just waiting and be like, I'll do it later, you're not going to do it.
And if you're using your presets, make sure you're rechecking them. When you upgrade your HQ with plasma, it upgrades your march capacity. Your research upgrades your march capacity. Upgrading your heroes increases march capacity. If you're doing a preset with, let's say, Gen 7 heroes all at level 50, and then all of a sudden you hit the next survival of the fittest and you get them all up to level 60, your march changes. Make sure you're adding that extra 3,000 troops because it might matter.
Yeah. I actually have two of mine are me with the march buff on and me with the march buff off. The extra march, like the max out buff and plus the march skill, that makes a difference, so be smart with that, and it definitely, when it's, if you could actually function as an alliance with 1 minute marches, you'd be basically unbeatable.
And
you really would.
There are some other things too. And so with the newer state, there's a few additional wrinkles to kind of add to what Delete and Mako are saying. But one thing I would always recommend, make sure you go into the Heroes tab and take a look at your heroes. The stuff that's at the top is actually fairly important for helping you figure out which heroes to use, whether it's new generation, old generation, any kind of thing. Because what you'll see is that the first one usually tells you what kind of hero they are. So they're a punchy hero, they're a shooty hero, they're a stabby hero, whatever it is. You'll see that kind of right at the beginning. But the other two, for legendary heroes, for the purples, you only get one. But you can see what their bonuses actually go towards, right? So, for example, Cardini, he's a siege hero, which means he gives the troops that he's leading get buffs when you're attacking like other cities, right? Versus a rally hero is giving just bonuses whenever you're doing a mass attack, right? So kind of what Mako was mentioning, when you're joining, it's important to kind of know what you're joining because you could use different troop compositions. Potentially, the heroes change as well. There is this added feature now at the top of the Sharp Squad, right? And the Sharp Squad, I believe, is just typically the newest group. And when you group them together, so I don't have Grim right now. I should unlock him by the end of this. But what you'll see here is when you get like Magnus, Cardini, and Grim, you get like bonuses to it. Now, obviously, I have 0 right now because I don't have it. But you'll see it and enhances the squad when you create your troll squad. Or I'm assuming Mako and Delete, you let me know. Do you get a second kind of banner here for the newest heroes, or do the new heroes just replace these guys? And then they're the only ones getting the bonus.
I don't even think the new heroes are on the banner. I think it's still Magnus.
It's still these ones? Okay.
Yeah.
So potentially this actually makes you even stronger because now you're giving defense and attack bonuses to your heroes. I believe these do stack, if I remember correctly, with Wacko and Daryl. So they still get the bonuses if you resonate with them. So there are some other things to pay attention to as well, which means you need to look at what your stat bonuses are, how they compare to your newer gen versus getting this troll bonus. So there's a few different things there. And for a free-to-play, especially with if you're in the newer states that has the hero preset, right? One of the keys is going to be your abilities. Your abilities help to determine kind of your effectiveness with the heroes. The newer heroes, you do not level the abilities. They level up with your rank. So the key rank for which heroes you actually want to use for newer states is actually Lieutenant Colonel 1. I have Jess up here because Jess is the one that I actually hit with this specifically. And the reason for Lieutenant Colonel 1 is that is when all 3 of your stats are at level 5. So
for new gen.
For the new gen heroes, yeah. So all the new gen where you don't level up your stats, you want to get to Lieutenant Colonel 1. That's kind of like your cutoff, even as a free-to-play, to try and make your hero viable. So you're not aiming for anything higher unless you're really trying to go out there to try and get them to a general rank, which I have a few that I'm doing, which are primarily my wall heroes. So mine are older gen. My wall heroes are Zoe, Wolf, and Maddie because they all have kind of the siege or the patrol buff. So I'm like, patrol, by the way, if you guys didn't see that, I'll bring up Wolf here. But he has patrol, which actually the troops get buffs when defending their own city. So even though they're an earlier gen hero, for like the wall, for example, I'm taking advantage of the patrol, so I'm doing Zoe, Wolf, and Maddie. So they're all going to be there because of their patrol buff, and I'm trying to get them to general so that I don't need to keep them in the hero training for first off, and you actually get more stats as you actually get them into higher rank. But the benefit of the hero precinct is you don't need the levels. So Jess, for example, I have at the 5 on all 3 of my stats, or all 3 of my abilities, but I can give her level 80 because she's in the hero precinct. So for free-to-play, especially in newer states, try to use your heroes that are newer for sure, but try to get them ones that are Lieutenant Colonel 1 so you actually have the full stats when you join. So for me right now, it is Jess, it's Luca, and I'm actually slowly working on Cardini right now, who's 5, 4, and 3. So he has a little ways to go here, but I'm trying to get his frags. But he's probably the one that I'm going to use as my stabby. Until the meantime, I'm basically using Miho because she's 4 all the way across. So she might be a little bit stronger. I'm kind of switching off between the 2 to see. Sometimes Cardini's actually stronger. So you do need to play around with it a little bit, but don't forget about the abilities of your heroes as well, because they work differently based on which state you're in. Obviously, newer state versus older state. The newer states will get the ability to get level 80, which promotes some of your stats as well, because if you guys don't recall, let me go to, oh, she's already level 80, so it's not showing anything. But, oh, they just mixed it now. You have the Explorer and the military stuff, and the level increases your Explorer stats as well as your March capacity. The rest of this all increases with your rank. So make sure you're not only just picking the newer ones, but you also have to pick which ones are giving you the better stats. So you need to look at this, look at what your percentages are, and like, for example, Jess gives me 380, 391. If I go to Ash, she's only giving me 195. So you can kind of see the difference in strength. And then also situationally, like Mako said, are you attacking? Are you being in there for defense? Is it your wall? Is it just an infected rally? All of those things make a difference. So try to pick the one that actually is matching, and then obviously your strongest ones.
I wonder, like, because you never know, like, how this game's going to go ahead and spit it out. Like, if you, as a rally joiner, if you just went, nothing but your strongest rally heroes, across the line, like your rally buffs, would you beat, like I guess if you could, the same exact person, but they just use their strongest heroes. Everyone uses strongest heroes, even if it was like overlapping. Like, would the buffs outweigh the stats? Because it's always been explained that, like, all right, well, everyone's stats is going to match the rally lead, but the buffs also kind of make a pretty big play into it, or they have. So, is it better to kind of, it's always been like the nonstop talk. Is it better to kind of like stagger your heroes? Like if someone's got their captain is such and such, and then someone else's captain should be different. So this way you can maximize all the buffs of everyone, or should it just, do whatever, so it's always been something we've discussed, and something I don't think we'll ever get an answer on, but it's something I always wonder about.
It used to be such a big deal too, going forward. Like when we first started playing 125 and you pull up the trap, it was everybody was like, all right, make sure your captain is Sarge or Eva, because they had that infected buff. And that was what happened. What the captain buff is, it takes the first skill of that captain on the first 4 people that join the rally, or the top highest. I don't remember which one it is anymore. We don't really pay attention anymore. But if you go in there and to the rally stats, like in Finn's thing, go into your rallies.
Like my marches? You mean like the
No,
setup?
the rally.
Oh, the
screen.
rally that I just was on. Okay.
Yep. If you go into like the rally benefits, that little arrow at their top.
Yeah.
Nope. There's a little gold circle
Oh, here.
with
Yeah, sorry.
yeah. So that'll tell you, and you go all the way down to the bottom. That's what the rally leader. Those are all of his skills here and there. Then the people who join his rally are right there. So Finn's got Sarge as his captain right now, and that's Sarge's first skill.
Yeah.
So the big thing when we started playing was you would make sure everybody had the right people there so that their skills lined up there, and that skill was level 5, because if you had a level 3 skill take a slot and then somebody else joined later, it messed up the stats. But we've kind of gone away from that because I didn't really figure out how it chose whose skills went where. But that's another thing that plays into it, because all of the rally leader stats are right there. All 3 of his heroes' skills, all 9 skills are the rally leaders. And there's the 4 that come from the people who join. So that also influences your rally leaders as well, and the stats for those attacks. But it kind of got thrown to the wayside, because when you get into capital and you're trying to rush and everybody's getting points, and like Delete starts a rally and you can watch it just go full.
Gone. Yeah.
You can't have much heroes because everybody wants points, everybody's trying to win, and it's so hard to figure out who's going to give you what skill to help you out at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, ideal scenario versus realistic scenario are different sometimes with that. Because that is one thing I noticed, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing sometimes, the way that they do like capital rallies, for example, right? As soon as you start sending a march, it takes up a slot. Even if somebody else is closer and actually gets in first. Like if they actually made it so, let's say you actually know which 4 you want there, and you keep those 4 closest to Delete, everybody else is far away, let them race. At least you know that those 4, or at least some combination of those 4, can hopefully get into the rally, and then you get those buffs, right? So they could take up a march slot, but make this order based on whoever gets in first, rather than whoever sets their march to get to Delete first. I think that would be a big help with all of these to help coordinate these. But you're right that this is actually part of the reason why I was saying you want to level up your abilities, because that first ability gets picked up here on your hero. And so you definitely want to make sure that first one is 5. It helps all of your stats to get all of them to 5, so you don't want to like skimp on those points either, just to kind of boost your troops. So yeah, you can kind of see the way it worked out here. There's always so many little nuances. And to your question, Delete, I wish we could test out more stuff like that. That's why I always said, like in the PTR, it would be great to have a mirror of yourself to test things against. Because then you could actually kind of test this out. If like you and I were like in the PTR together, we could attack ourselves and just change like one hero here and there and see if it makes a difference. There was also I know we were talking about heroes, but I don't want to forget about the fact that we talked about the actual troops, where there are different types of troops here. So if you have the shotgun one here, right, they actually have an increased chance of killing riders, versus when you go up to this one, they're the shield, and the shields actually have an increased chance of killing bows. But there's actually a difference for, I believe it was the riders, that actually are better off at a lower level. Because the riders, go over here, at tier 10, no, it's this the shooty here. Let me go to the shooty troops. There we go. So the shooters actually have an increased chance of attacking the riders, right? At this one, they have an increased chance of also, but they can cause the bypass of the infantry. Let me go over here. There we go. And these are exactly the same. So you're doing the exact same damage versus, let me go down one here. The bowmen actually have an increased chance against infantry, right? So all the other troops, they alternate between kind of going against one troop and then the other. The riders, or yeah, the hunters were actually following that. They went infantry. They went to the riders. The next tier should have been a bow hero, not a sniper that attacked infantry. So these actually become some of the more like non-essential upgrades because you're not really getting that infantry bonus that you were really hoping for. And then riders have a similar thing that they kind of went across, which is, go back over here. Sorry, it's just back and forth. So over here, the riders actually do increase damage against infantry, versus at tier 10, they don't. They go against the hunters. So it's one of these things where I wish we could test these out more to try and figure out, is there truly an impact? We had some people, after we discussed this last time, said there actually was an impact with going with some of the lower ones just to protect your infantry a little bit more. And tier 9 infantry were actually doing more damage to the actual, or tier 9 hunters were doing more damage to infantry because they were actually going after the hunters more. And then these higher troops, they have increased defense against bows, but the bows aren't really doing anything. So actually, in some senses, the increase against the riders actually helped. Because the riders at tier 11 were actually going after them. So this actually helped. So it would be nice to be able to like fully test out the mechanics and what's the balance here. And not only the hero bonuses, but also the troop bonuses, which sometimes get lost in the play here.
Yeah. I mean, the game would actually probably be a little bit cooler if you had to use a mix of everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, oh, they're coming at us with all infantry. All right, switch up riders. You know what? We gotta, you know, that it's nothing but they've got a ton of riders in there, so let's switch up our marches. You know, like if you're playing that much more of a guessing game, you know, it would be a little bit cooler. It also kind of like just doesn't make it where you're like, oh, well, you know, now we gotta go ahead and upgrade these.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it doesn't, you know, the stuff's in there in the game for a reason, and they just kind of tend to not use it. But then it was like you go through and test, and you're like, oh man, I used T9s, I just got demolished, and now my hospital's full because they just took that much more damage because you know the buffs, even though it's you know all right, you know it's like T11s are there, but versus the T9s, they're taking that much more damage now. It's more of a massacre type hit than it was, you know, something else. So it's just like, you know, it's just like, it would be cooler if you had that much more level of engagement, though.
Yeah.
There was about a month and a half there for Capitals and Fortresses where we were doing the double rallies, and the first rally was T9s to try and get that out. And then, I mean, like Delete said it multiple times in these streams, episode 70 now, it's like they keep changing the battle mechanics so often.
Mm-hmm.
So we did the T9s and the T10s double rally. Then they brought up defense heroes. And then T11s came out. And then you got the extra ability for the troopers and stuff at T6 and then T8 and all stuff. So everything just always changes so fast. By the time you nail down a strategy, something changes and you have to do it all over again.
Mm-hmm. And there's not a clear, like, easy way for us to test and have fun to try and figure it out. It's literally doing it in high-stakes situations to try and figure out, which does not help. Doing these in that kind of environment makes it just that much more, like, stressful. And so some ability to test it, they don't even have to reveal everything to us. Let us figure it out on our own. People will test and try to figure this out outside of the test environment. Like, when you restrict it to just the PTR, it's not really going to help players. So more ability for players to test out things would be great in this game. It just kind of setting like a phony base and letting people attack it to try and figure things out, like those would be great. So, and I know we've done 70 episodes now, and I remember some of the questions we had even before. Like, how many T9 troops equals one T11 troop? I still remember one of the questions, and I think that was one of my questions, which is just trying to figure out how many equivalent I need to try and be at least reasonable to some of the people that were spending in my base to try and be able to protect it. And granted, the answer is about like 100,000 T9s for one tier 11, but still, it makes it so. But at least it's something that we could have tested a little bit to try and figure it out. So, yeah. So I think we have an idea, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But I think for the heroes and everything, a lot of times, if you're a rally hero or a rally leader, it is all about having the newest heroes as strong as possible and getting those in there. Because all 9 of your abilities matter, all your stats transfer down to everyone. So it's really important that you go for the newer heroes because their stats are just better. And for joiners, it's important that you set up different marches based on the scenario. Oftentimes, it is picking your best hero. It's not necessarily the newest hero, which is often the difference, but it's picking your best hero with especially the first skill being maxed. Even if you're not normally like the fourth highest or something, as Mako pointed out, when it gets into a capital situation or something, everybody is hitting join. You don't want to be the person that's kind of like lagging behind on that ability and reducing the buffs. So try to make sure that at least the first ability is maxed out on yours. And I would recommend going all the way through and trying to get all 3 of them to 5. You take Lieutenant Colonel, and that should hopefully help. So, yeah. Anything else? I'm not seeing any questions, which I'm hoping means we answered everything. So hooray! But any other notes you guys want to make about rallies and how to set up your hero compositions? Has there been any new development on the actual composition? Last I've been doing, and I think it's still there, is roughly about like, what is it, 65, 15, 20? I think is still roughly the percentage that everyone is using. You maybe boost to 70 if you need to, but otherwise it's 65 on the infantry, and then less for the rest. I don't think that's changed much. So that's still the way you're running it.
Yeah, that's kind of what was hitting in Reservoir, and I was like, I always kind of take a look at Reservoir because people are a little bit more, they try and do things a little bit differently in Reservoir. I feel like that's the test market, and you see slight changes in what it would be in a fortress or a bunker or a capital, so especially since it's the biggest reason for that is because Reservoir, combinations change so much. Once you get attacked, you're basically the amount of your input is changed. Everything's different once you get hit. Now when you go ahead and you restart it or you restock it, it's completely different. It's a different makeup in there. So I've definitely found that riders are actually doing a little bit more damage, surprisingly, than they used to. Riders always used to be the forgotten troop, but now they're becoming a little bit more valuable from what I've seen. So I've been switching around and doing 15% hunters, as opposed to doing 20/20 or even doing 25%, hunters and 15% riders to kind of make up the 100% over the 60% infantry. So, it's just you got to play around with it.
All right. So I think that covers everything that we wanted to discuss today. We actually had like a discussion about gameplay. We went through the update. We went through some random talk. I'm not having any kids right now. Like, we got through a lot. We got through a lot. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I want to say this was a very successful stream. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
All right, so next week, we will have the stream. However, it will be our Thanksgiving spectacular, since the following week is Thanksgiving and we will not be streaming on that day. So next week, Thanksgiving spectacular. So I hope you guys can join. Well, I don't know what I'll do. I'll have to do something fun. Ooh, I have an awful idea. Okay, I'm gonna try to see if I can make my awful idea come true. Okay, so yeah, just yeah. You never know. You never know with me, Delete. Don't. Yeah. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I've got no clue.
No,
no clue there.
I'm a crazy person.
But I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get some last words in here. Any last words from you, Mako?
No, not really. But I will tell you, if you're going to be a free-to-play and you're just starting out, pick what you want to do for heroes and focus on those. I know when I first started, I picked any hero that was in Ray's place. That was the one I was going to go for. And survival of the fittest, the hero was a lot easier to get to when you were first starting out because it didn't incorporate plasma in scores. So you can get the five fragments every time by just placing top 100, and you can unlock them at least. I have every hero unlocked except for Ray and Rolex. Yeah, I think everybody but Ray and Rolex I have unlocked. Whether they're at level 5 skills, most of them are. I'm working on a few in the voucher event just to get some of the old heroes up there because you never know. As long as my heroes are level 5, that's what I've decided to do for my gameplay. But I know when I first started out, I chose everybody in Ray's place, and that was going to be my go-to because biocaps are replenishable, and Ray's place was the easiest way to get fragments for legendary stuff. So make sure you're playing the game your way, pick the way you want to go, and follow that. That'll help you a lot if you have a plan of attack.
There you go. And then Mr. Delete.
I would say pay attention to reset, because you never know where you're going to find a hidden gem that may or may not be there when you wake up another day. But it's worth a shot, and also just kind of like, if you're just starting out, make sure you read all the little tabs in the game that it gives you an option to read, because they make a difference and they're just not there to be pretty colors. And if you're going to be a rally leader, just be aware of what it's going to take. Be aware of just the time, the effort, the money, and try and bring somebody up with you, more than anything else. Because when you're on an island of one, you got a lot of people dependent on you. So you definitely want to make sure that you kind of have a good team. Your team is everything, especially, and strength attracts more strength. And make sure that your alliance is right. That's the biggest thing, because a good, healthy alliance will help you grow that much faster in game. Especially if you've got like a whale in your alliance and you're just collecting stuff left and right. It's just free caps. So, and if you're still playing and you're in an older state, and hopefully with merges there is more hope. That's all I got for today.
All right, and then I will end by saying, make sure you pay attention to reset. It was daylight savings time. Reset comes 1 hour earlier for those of you in the US. Just throw I made a little mistake.
Very valid point.
I made a mistake in a different game because I forgot about that. I had like everything timed to like 7 p.m. in that game, and I'm like, perfect. So I log in at 7 p.m. and I missed it. I'm like, wait, why? Oh, yeah, daylight savings time. I had to do this an hour ago. Fantastic.
UTC time does not take daylight savings time. That's
nope.
Yeah, I'm almost missed a res raid for that.
Mm-hmm.
A year ago. And people are like, dude, where are you at? And I'm like, I've got an hour. Why is everyone freaking out? No, you have 57 minutes before you miss it completely.
Yep. That's always fun. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So I think with that, we'll go ahead and sign off. Thank you guys so much for joining on another episode of the Bunker Underground. I am Infinity for Mako for Delete. We will see you on next week's Thanksgiving Spectacular. And with that, we are signing out. Take care, guys.
Everybody rocks.